Hey guys, I had a revelation, and it has to do with telling the truth. It started when I overheard a friend saying, you should always be completely honest with your wife. I know. I thought about it, but the more I thought about it, the more it kind of bugged me because I realized, and I had to admit that I hadn't been as honest with my wife as I could have been. And, you kind of think, well, it sounds like something I should be doing, but I'm not doing it. So, is there a good reason for not doing it? Is it the right thing not to disclose everything? So I started thinking, I picked up this book. It's Jordan Peterson, 12 Rules for Life. There's a chapter in here, and I highly recommend this book, very highly. There's a chapter in here about tell the truth or at least don't lie. Very good chapter. And I started thinking about taking what he's talking about and bringing it into my marriage, bringing those principles of truth-telling in my marriage. And what I began to realize was that telling the truth could become a vehicle, a way through the conflict. It could become a way through, it could allow us to have breakthroughs in some of the conversations that we have where we're just back and forth and we're stuck. It could be a way of getting through that. And it's a way of simplifying and clarifying where we're at. And I think every time we clarify and simplify, things become much more apparent and obvious, and a lot of things will solve themselves. And it can all happen by just simply saying the truth. Situations in my marriage with my wife and conversations that I've had where I'm listening to her and we're conversing and I'm trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to say and what do I need? How do I respond? And all this crazy stuff. And I hear this voice in my head. It says, Gary, just tell the truth. Just simply, kindly, thoughtfully, lovingly, just tell the truth. And I believe that I think this is a significant tool, as if the truth could be a tool. The truth can actually be a lifestyle. Your life, the way things are, telling the truth can help us get through a lot of the issues in our marriages. Let me tell you a little bit about why I did this video and how this idea came to me. I read the book and, I started thinking about where I was and where I had been with respect to honesty in my marriage. And the truth is that I didn't think about it that much. It just didn't occur to me. The idea of taking some kind of a personal truth inventory just wasn't anything that I thought about or would have thought about. I think the idea was the more honesty that and I wanted to be honest. But the more honesty in a lot of ways would have brought more conflict. It's going to be a big mess. She's going to get upset. I don't want to get her upset. It's going to backfire. She's going to use it against me. She doesn't need to know. Maybe she doesn't even want to know. And so that's kind of where I was at. And then so I read the book and I started thinking in a deeper way about this. And here's what I came up with. I kind of took a step back. And this is exactly why I made this video. I'm going to tell you right now exactly why I made the video. Because I took a step back and I looked at my life. I was having a problem sleeping for 2 years, probably more than 2 years. I couldn't sleep. I was angry. I was feeling rejected. I was feeling resentful and a bunch of other things. And I wasn't talking about it with her. I was kind of swallowing it. She would ask me, how are you feeling? What's going on? And I would make up a story that I felt in some way, a different way. And I thought, I'm going to get an ulcer. I mean, I can't, this is not healthy and it's not good. It's not godly. There's nothing good about this. And so I thought, well, if I dump it out, we're going to have to deal with it. There's going to be conflict or whatever. I don't even know what's going to happen. But I will have gotten it out and I will have gone a long way towards cleaning up my side of the street. And that's really exactly why I made this video. And I'm hoping that what we're going to talk about here, that it resonates with you. And if you're keeping things from your wife that are important to your existing situation, that you maybe reconsider that, and that may be a way towards a better relationship and a better marriage. What is dishonesty? Let's break down what dishonesty really is. Dishonesty is hiding. When you don't tell the truth, you're hiding something. You're hiding difficult, angry, sad, strong, weak, or broken parts of yourself. When you hide, you might not be found. Therefore, an important part of you might not be known. That part of you doesn't come into relationship. For that part of you, the relationship is over. Hiding may be okay when you're dealing with unsafe people. Dishonesty is avoiding. In a marriage, dishonesty is a way of avoiding conflict or connection, avoiding difficult issues, a way to avoid revealing parts of yourself, taking the easy way out, avoiding hurting your wife's feelings. Dishonesty is betraying. It's a kind of self-betrayal. It's betraying the honest you, the real you, the honorable you, the you that doesn't lie, the you with integrity. It's betraying and disrespecting your spouse because she may not realize it, but she's not dealing with the real you. And dishonesty is disrespecting yourself. Dishonesty is wasting. Not telling the truth keeps things the way they are. It's a vote to keep the status quo. It keeps you stuck. It opens the door to confusion and weakness, detachment and resentment. And all of this in exchange for keeping the peace. So, how do I know when I'm lying? We lie all the time. I lie, you lie. It comes very easily. As a matter of fact, we lie so often that we may not even be aware we're lying. There are very subtle ways of lying. So we may have been telling our wife lies without even thinking about it. Here's an example of a lie: denial. Refusing to acknowledge the truth to yourself and others. So your wife says, "Hey, honey, you look sick. You look sick. Maybe you should see a doctor." And you're like, "I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm okay." Next one is restructuring and misdirection. Misdirection and restructuring is like changing the topic or answering a question that wasn't really even asked. So your wife is going, "Hey, what were you doing in the backyard? Were you having a cigarette?" And you're like, that neighbor is such a creep. He was yelling at his dog. It was crazy. What's for dinner? Minimization. This is playing it down. So she goes, "Did you have a drink at the party?" And you're like, someone shoved a beer in my hand. It was a light beer. I just sipped, just to be polite. Exaggeration. This is representing something as greater or better than it really is. So you run into your boss at work in the cafeteria, you have a cup of coffee with them, a little chit-chat, donut, and you go home, talk to your wife. "Hey, honey, I ran into Davidson. We had a meeting, and it was a big meeting, important meeting, and I told him what I think. I told him exactly what I think, and I didn't mince words. I told him what I think, and he was impressed. And I think I think we're going to do a big deal. We got a deal." And we got a deal, and I think it's going to be a big deal. And so I'm going to be VP. I think he knows the talent when he sees it, and I'm going to be the big guy here. So fabrication, deliberately inventing a false story. She goes, "I called 5 times. You didn't pick up. What's the deal?" And you're like, "My battery, it died. Dead battery." Omission. This is telling the truth, but not all of the truth. It's enough of the truth to satisfy the asker. So you go to Las Vegas, you lose $1,000 playing craps. Your wife calls. "Hey, honey, how you doing? How's the trip?" And you say, we are having a great time. It's really fun. We had a great dinner. The food is delicious. We did a little gambling. We saw a great show. Everything's great. So we're having a good time. Luxor, it's just beautiful. So we'll be back tomorrow. All right, so these are the most frequent, common kinds of dishonesty. Keep these in mind when you're talking to your wife. If you're anything like me, you will realize that you tell these things, tell these lies a lot more often than you think. So let's get into it. What's the payoff? Why are we lying? There's a reason we're lying. We're not lying for our own entertainment. We're hiding something. Dishonesty basically means we're hiding something. Why are we doing that? Well, the first thing is, probably the biggest thing is, we don't want to have pain and conflict. I mean, it's kind of obvious. So I'm going to hide something from my wife because she's going to find out about it. When she finds out about it, she's going to be angry. She's going to withdraw. She's going to yell at me, and then I'm going to feel pain. And this is going to go on for several days, several weeks, or whatever. Why would I want to do that? It seems to go against common sense. Why would I want to bring that into my own life and into the marriage? We don't want to do that. And that's one of the big reasons that we lie. The other reason is that when we don't face things and we don't tell the truth, we're actually deceiving ourselves. And one of the things is, if I don't want to face something that I'm doing, I'll lie to myself. I won't talk about it. But if I bring it up, my wife hears about it. I'm listening to myself talk. I'm listening to the words that I'm saying, that I'm doing, the things that I'm doing. I don't want to have to face that. I don't want to deal with the consequences. And all of a sudden, I've got a wife who knows very well what I've done. She becomes the accountability person. She gets angry, and then I have to deal with it. And I don't want to deal with that. And this happens all the time. We don't want to deal with our own stuff. I mean, as a rule, it's not something that any of us wants to do. A lot of times we're just selfish. It's real simple. I'm spending a little money on the side. So I have some money. I go on Amazon, throwing some money down there. I have the thing delivered to work instead of home. She never really knows about it. I've gotten away with something. I'm just basically selfish. Other times, so depending on who we're married to and depending on her personality and a lot of stuff like that, we don't want to tell the truth because we know she's going to use it against us. She's going to use it against us, and we know that. So in that case, it's probably good not to tell the truth, at least to her. That's a situation where you're probably going to need some help working through that. But what you probably want to do is just, talk to a really good friend and say, hey, I'm doing this. I want you to know I'm doing this. I'm not going to tell her because of, X, Y, Z, but I needed to tell someone, and I'm doing this, and I want you to just to be my accountability partner in this. And finally, we just want to look good. We don't want to look like bad people. There's something really important I want to say here, and this is coming from me. It's also coming from Hoffman, and it's coming from a lot of very wise people. And it's this: we are all messed up. You're messed up. I'm messed up. It goes back to the fall. We screw up. We do dumb things. When it gets down to it, life isn't pretty. Things that we've done are not pretty. I'm not proud of things that I've done. I've done some pretty lousy things. I don't want anyone to know about it. I want to maintain a facade that says, oh, Gary's a great guy. He's a really good guy. He's done really well. I don't want people to know about that. So that's one of the reasons that I would be dishonest, essentially. But here's the thing. Being dishonest, we have a short-term gain. We get by in the short term. Things are okay. We're keeping the peace. But in the long term, things are not good. And we're bringing potentially years of misery and pain into our life. For a short-term gain, we're sacrificing a long-term thing. And here's the deal. We can't fix the truth unless we tell the truth. We can't fix the issue unless we're honest about the issue. So that's some of the reasons why we don't tell the truth. So we know what being dishonest is. We know why we don't tell the truth. But what are the consequences? Well, this is another Jordan Peterson thing that he said, but the only thing worse than telling the truth is not telling the truth. Which, if you think about it, means your choices are misery or a lot of misery. So, that's where it is. The first thing is the consequences. First of all, it's not godly. I found a lot of verses in the Bible. The one that seemed to make some sense to me in this context, 1 Corinthians 13, the ever popular 1 Corinthians 13. Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. So if you want to have love in your life, if you want it in the marriage, you have to have the truth. They just go together and it's part of the marriage. And so we have to find a way to become more truthful. If you think about it, when we lie, when we're dishonest, we're taking a piece of ourself. Maybe it's an opinion, maybe it's an activity, maybe it's a character defect. We take that piece of ourself out of the relationship. They're dealing with part of us. They're not dealing with all of us. And that can be a very important part of you. Yes, it's an issue. Yes, there's a problem. That's why you're lying about it or not telling the truth. But that can be a big part of who you are. And because that is, no one can deal with the whole person. They're dealing with what's left. Also, do you see how much you're disrespecting yourself? When you're not honest, when you don't bring your entire self into the relationship, you're disrespecting yourself and you're disrespecting her. We can't ask her to respect us if we don't even respect us and we don't respect her. Other negative effects, hiding, dishonesty. The truth moves us forward. Dishonesty keeps us stuck. Long-term dishonesty can perpetuate long-term misery. Lack of integrity. Is that really what we want? Is that the life we want for ourselves? Being dishonest is you're sacrificing the future you. You're sacrificing the you with integrity. You're sacrificing the honest you in exchange for some kind of a status quo, a bland status quo. So I'll leave you with this. We can come to Moat as long as we want, as often as we want. We can talk about our marriages, we can talk about the issues and everything else. But our marriages are not going to get better until we start bringing the truth into our marriage. If you think about that, it just is self-evident. We have to bring the truth into our marriage. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's difficult. Yes, there's road mines. Yes, there's going to be problems. But we have to do it if we want to have good marriages. Okay, so we've talked about why we lie. We've talked about the consequences of lying. Let's talk about the benefits of telling the truth. A big benefit is problem solving. We can solve problems when we talk truthfully about what the issues are. We can identify and clearly know what the issue is. So we know this is the issue. This is specifically what the issue is. It's not this, it's not that, it's exactly this. And once we know what this is, then we can solve this problem. A lot of times the problem will solve itself because it becomes so clear and it becomes obvious. But clearly and honestly saying what the thing is helps us to solve the problem. We can't claim a problem is unsolvable unless we've truthfully discussed it. Otherwise, how do we know? How do we know? The other thing is, what's the other option? What's the plan B? Resentfulness. Telling the truth and owning the issue, taking responsibility requires that we grow up. And, let's face it, there's some area we're all immature in some area. I don't know about you, but when someone tells me the truth about them, some truth about them that's been sort of secret, I feel closer to them. I really do. I feel closer to them, more intimate. And if we do that with our wife, she may feel closer to us. And also she may feel more comfortable about revealing or telling the truth about one of her things that we didn't know about. So it can bring real closeness in our marriage. Telling the truth helps us leave our baggage behind. We carry things around, phony things, fake things, things that don't serve us, behaviors, issues. We carry this stuff around, and it's time to just dump that. It's time to get rid of that. It's time to rise like the phoenix from the ashes, grow up, clean up our act, sweep it aside, and move on. So it's a good thing. Telling the truth requires, in many cases, that you be humble. And humility is a really powerful place to be. Humility is a very good thing, because when we're humble, we can grow and we can change, because we've admitted that we're not doing well. People who have the ego, they're claiming everything's great, they're fine, they have nowhere to go. But when you're humble, you can grow, you can change. So there's a lot of good reasons we should tell the truth. We can leave our baggage behind. People will feel closer to us. We might be able to solve the problems. So I think that the more appropriate truth we can tell, ultimately the better we'll feel, and we have a good shot at making a better marriage. So what is this going to look like? How do I do this? How do I start? What I'm not recommending is that you go home and do some big truth dump on your wife. I don't think that's productive. What I'm recommending is that we begin in our life to stop telling or remove secrets that are getting in the way of healing our marriage. The reason I made the video is not to necessarily to help you reveal some big truth like an affair or anything like that. I think the material in the video applies to that, but that was not the main intention of the video. The intention of the video was to encourage us all to begin to develop a lifestyle of honesty and transparency, and just sort of ease in to being honest and being transparent where we haven't been. And the theory is, and my belief is, that it will help us have a better marriage. Now, in doing this, there's an if, and then there's a how, and then there's a when. If to do it, how to do it, and when to do it. Let's talk about if to tell her. This is important. Just because a thing is true does not mean that I need to tell her about it. We have to use discernment here. Is it useful? Is it productive? Will it make her smile? These are the kind of things we want to talk with her about. But, if something's disturbing to her or bothers her or just is unnecessary, you don't need to talk about it. Just, be wise and use wisdom. Let's focus on the how. What is your motivation? Why are you doing this? What is the intended result? Are you doing this? Is your motivation a selfish motivation, or is your motivation to truly make things better? Be careful of your motivation. Watch your motivation. Do it with grace. Do it carefully. Do it with love. Don't hurt feelings unless that has to happen, but I don't want you to hurt people's feelings. Use I statements. Watch the words you use. Watch the tone you use. Don't make a big deal out of it unless it actually is a big deal. It may not be that big of a deal. It may be something where you've been withholding your feelings or withholding some opinion that you have. And the truth is that we just say it now. And we just say, I really am not happy about that, or I really don't want to do that. Or you're acknowledging some truth. You were right. I was wrong. I'm sorry. And she may not care. She, when it's all said and done, she may hear all this and she goes, oh, okay, big deal, whatever. May not be that big of a deal to her. Make a decision that you're not going to react emotionally to this. Watch your expectations. Don't defend yourself, but listen to what she says. Listen to her reaction and be aware of any pain that she is displaying, and then love her through that pain. Let's talk about the when to do it. So within the parameters that I've just discussed about if to do it, so if you're going to do it, then the idea that I'm putting forward here is that it becomes a lifestyle. It's an ongoing lifestyle. What I don't want is a bunch of big truth explosions. I want to develop this into a lifestyle. I want you to gradually ease into it. So kind of in the when category, it's going to be kind of all the time. So how do we start? Well, I don't think we need to make a big deal out of it. I think it can be simple. I just think that we start being vigilant in our truth telling, be self-aware, and then just start being honest. So that's it. Let me leave you with this. I was having dinner with my brother last night, and I said, "Hey, I'm making a video about telling the truth to your wife." And he goes, sounds dangerous. And he's right. It is dangerous. Telling the truth is not about playing it safe. Man on the Edge is not about playing it safe. Life is not about playing it safe. Telling the truth is going to require maturity, confidence, courage, and a belief in God to get you through. But the payoff can be amazing. The payoff can be worth it. So, I want to read you one thing before we go. This is from the book, chapter 8. It summarizes the whole thing. If your life is not what it could be, try telling the truth. If you feel weak and rejected and desperate and confused, try telling the truth. When you're at work, you will begin to say what you really think. You will start to tell your wife or your husband or your parents what you really want and need. Your head will start to clear up as you stop filling it with lies. Your experience will improve as you stop distorting it with inauthentic actions. Taking the easy way out or telling the truth. Those are not merely two different choices. They are different pathways through life. They are utterly different ways of existing. So, again, the book, 12 Rules for Life, Jordan Peterson, Tell the Truth. At least give it a shot. Bump it out.